bench. So not trying to discredit it at all, but it is what it is.
Again, Mizrowski and Skeens going to face off Wednesday afternoon.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Get insurance from a company who knows Wisconsin and cares about your community. You may know Rural Mutual Insurance as the #1 farm insurer, but did you know they also offer competitive home and auto rates? Visit ruralmutual.com to learn more about products and discounts.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, the NBA draft is this Wednesday and Thursday. Bucks have just one pick. It comes in the second round at number 47 overall. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil-Print.
They were on how many games in a row?
13. It ended up being 13.
Yeah. And they beat the dog on us. I think it was a 2 out of 3. It wasn't even contest. And they were rolling, and then we caught them at the wrong time. And then they caught us at the wrong time this time.
0-2 the count. And it's in there! A cold strike 3! McGill rings the bell, and the Brewers win. They sweep the Minnesota Twins.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
I went to Costco yesterday. I hadn't gone in a couple of weeks because it's a little bit of a task. You know what I mean? I can run around the corner to the Piggly Wiggly or, Walmart, just get a couple things. You go to Costco, it's a production, even if it's not busy. You got to check the card, go in, go around the loop, check out. I'm getting a hot dog, obviously. So it just takes a little more time to go to Costco, but it's always worth it. Because last night and this morning when I went to make dinner, or this morning when I went to pack my lunch for work, which I always try to bring a lunch. Sometimes you can't, but then I got to go to, Quick Trip, which is fine, but I don't want to spend money on lunch every day. It's great the day you get home from Costco or the next day because you just got food. You have options. It's do I want to make a sandwich? Do I want to bring a piece of chicken? I got everything. I got all the options. It's a great feeling just being loaded, right? And it's kind of how I feel about tonight's show. I'm looking at the rundown and all the bits of audio that I have and all the statistics, and we got the Monday mailbag. I just feel like I got home from sports radio Costco. At least that's how I am equating this. That's how I'm visualizing it. Maybe it's a lame analogy, but that's how I feel. I can't wait for tonight. I've been looking forward to this ever since Bill got off the air. I'm I can't wait for 4:00 because we have so much to talk about between the Brewers and the NBA Finals. Really, honestly, those are really the only two things, but I have so many things to say about each. I've been looking forward to this show all day. You heard a little bit of Pat Murphy and then the final out that Trevor McGill recorded yesterday. It came down to the wire just like it did in the finale against the Cubs last week. So we had two very high wire, exciting finishes in the last week for the Brewers, and they're playing really well. So excited to talk about that and mix in some commentary about the NBA Finals. That season is now concluded. The Finals took over 2 weeks? It might have taken closer to 3 weeks than it did to 2. What is it, 17, 18 days, something like that? So you forget how long the NBA Finals are and the NBA playoffs as a whole. I think they started before the NFL draft, which is insane. So today we kind of get to put that to bed. Some takes about how the season wrapped up and about the Thunder and then Halliburton's injury too, which was a kick in the beans last night. So a lot to discuss. This is the Wisco Sports Show. My name is Grant Bills. I hope you had an excellent weekend. It was hot, which is actually something that I want to talk about in the final segment today. So we'll do the Monday mailbag, and please submit your questions, grantbills21@gmail.com. That's kind of the segment where it's ask about this, that, talk about, current event. I'm not going to talk about Iran. Unless you ask about it in the mail, then maybe. But that's kind of our segment to get away from sports. We do it once a week. I also have a bit of a rant, a Grant's rant, if you will, about a tweet that I saw related to the weather. And I actually saw Darnell the Chump right before the show started tweeting about it. So that's coming up later. Submit your questions to the mailbag, grantbills21@gmail.com. And of course, I'll take your calls and texts after our opening segment. I'll come right to you if you're ready at 608-321-1670. And you can comment on the live stream. It's up and running. I was a little late today. I was scrambling a bit. I apologize. Facebook and YouTube, just look up the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills, and then on Twitter as well, @Wisco Grant. The Brewers have won 20 of 27, which I heard that statistic. I was listening to some podcasts on the drive in this morning. I'm like, is that Really? I mean, they've been playing well, and they've been winning more than they lose, but you hear that. They've won 20 of 27. The Cubs' lead in the NL Central is now down to 3.5 games. And I've told this to Bill a couple of times over the last 2 weeks on his show between 10 and 2, because he'll reference the Cubs. It's like, well, the Brewers won the series, but they didn't pick up any games, and the Cubs keep winning. And every time that's come up and we've talked about it, I've kind of said, I've been really looking at the scoreboard. I have not been scoreboard watching because, in my opinion, you can't keep up with the Joneses when you have problems in your own house. You can't start looking around and comparing yourself to others unless you've really taken care of yourself. And some would say you should never keep up with the Joneses. Maybe there's some truth to that. I digress. It's not the point. But the Brewers, to continue this analogy, have fixed their leaky roof. They have balanced the checkbook for the household. They just paid off the family minivan. We got our house in order finally after some up and down stretches to begin the season. And at this point, we're closer to halfway than we are to opening day. So I get it. It's not like the season just began, but they had injuries here and then they had injuries there. And then their bullpen got a little taxed and their offense went away. And I think the offense still probably throughout the rest of the season, even if they keep winning, is going to be a little hit or miss, literally. And that'll probably be the team's biggest weakness. But hopefully they can overcome it. They've been overcoming it. They've got their house in order. So now I feel comfortable looking around the rest of the division, looking next door, what the Cubs are doing, and looking around the corner, how the Cardinals do this weekend. Where do we stand in the division? The Packers, the Brewers. The Brewers are 3.5 back, which is fun. Now we can have an honest-to-goodness baseball season. We can keep tabs on the division, where the Cubs trending, where the Brewers trending, right? That's fun. And last night, I got to read you this text that I got from Austin, who helps on Bill's show, and you hear him on Over the Line as well, one of our great voices on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network. And I want to read you this text he sent me because I laughed out loud. And I had to read this for Bill earlier today, too. He said, unprompted, and Austin's a Cubs fan. If you've listened to Austin, you know this. He says, I was rooting for the Brewers to be decent so people would want to talk baseball, and I'd enjoy my job more. They are officially winning too much for me, and I do not wish that anymore. So the division is, at least at this moment in time, it's gotten close. It's gotten real. It's a real baseball season. And that might not be the case in a month. But as of right now, at least as it stands in late June, this is a division. And I'm really excited. I'm really happy about it. A fun thought that I had about this Minnesota series specifically, because I don't just want to skip by all those great games and those great performances that we watched over the weekend. I do want to talk about this series and about Minnesota specifically. I think, and I talked to my friend who lives in St. Paul about this yesterday. He went a couple of these games. The Twins are kind of down bad. They're in a really tough spot. You heard Murph mention that in the intro. Like the last time the Brewers played the Twins were white hot. They were in the middle of a 13-game winning streak. The Brewers caught them at a bad time. Now I think the Brewers caught the Twins at a good time. Pitching is banged up. Royce Lewis has been hurt. I popped open the Star Tribune earlier today, and I just grabbed a couple of headlines just to try to paint a picture. This is Michael Rand, his headline at the Star Tribune. In June, it's been an embarrassment of embarrassments for Twins. And the byline is, the Twins are 3-13 since losing Pablo Lopez to a long-term injury early in June. This weekend's sweep by the Brewers might have been the lowest of the low, Michael Rand writes in today's 10 Things. Now, Michael Rand at the Trib, he has a column where it's 10 things going on. I'm not going to read you all 10, but the first couple are Twins related, so I'm going to read these to you. It gives me no pleasure to do this, but as someone who enjoys numbers and what they can tell us about sports, I think I've finally found the single statistic that defines the last 16 games of futility for the Twins. And there's 3 bullet points here. Infielder Jonah Bride has come in to pitch in a game the Twins trailed 4 times since June 5th. The first game of the Twins' dismal 3-13 stretch, and not coincidentally the second game in which they played without injured ace Pablo Lopez. Star reliever Juan Duran has come in to pitch in a game the Twins have led 3 times in that span. Yes, the Twins have had more occasions to use their mop-up infielder on the mound in the last 2.5 weeks than to deploy their 100-mile-per-hour dynamo in a save situation. Another bullet point, David Festa, a young pitcher who thought to be part of the depth that could help the Twins withstand the loss of Lopez, has given up 20 earned runs over the 18 innings and 4 appearances since Lopez was hurt. He was tagged for 8 earned runs in Sunday's loss to Milwaukee. And then the final bullet point. Saturday's game ended with Brooks Lee at the plate. He had been a silver lining during that awful stretch, but his 19-game hitting streak ended as he made the final out of a 9-0 loss on a strikeout. Worse than that, He watched the ball bounce away from the catcher and made no attempt to run to first base. I didn't see it initially and wondered if it was really as bad as everyone said. So I went back to the replay on Monday. Spoiler alert, it was that bad. Now, I didn't see the end of Saturday's game because we had left to go down to Summerfest. But I did watch the highlights when I got home, and I'm 90% sure that I saved Brian Anderson's final call. Yeah, here it is. They included this, Major League Baseball did, on their little, they do the recap, the highlight video, and they do a really good job of mixing in comments from the announcers. This is BA at the end, and I'm like, wow, it's kind of strong commentary on the way the Twins ended the game from the Brewers announcer.
That is a swing and a miss. Is it a foul ball or no? It's not a foul ball. Lee's heart's not in it. Contreras just puts the tag on him. Hey, that's a bad effort right there. You got to run. Fans paid the money to see a little effort. Lee just goes back to the dugout, and he was done with this day. 3 up, 3 down inning for Ashby. They are shaking hands once again as the Brewers, now their new high water marks.
And that was the end of Saturday's broadcast. That's Brian Anderson going, hey, you loser, run to first. And you could hear some boos in the crowd. You heard some boos at Target Field this weekend. So I'm sharing all of this with you to make a point. I'm not just reading Twins bullet points and playing audio of a Twins play. There's a point here. The point is the Twins vibes could not be lower. You combine that with 100-degree heat and humidity, not a lot of shade at Target Field. That Twins team in that situation over that weekend is the perfect mark for the Pat Murphy Brewers. They scored 26 runs in 2 games with 0 home runs. Part of that is a little fluky because Yelich hit a ball that most of the time is going to be a home run. It hit a little bit of an outcropping in center field. In most instances, in a lot of parks, that's a grand slam. It just happened to be unlucky. So obviously the Brewers hit plenty of balls hard, but they also were just racking up singles, racking up doubles, moving runners over, double steals, all that crap that they're really, really good at. Basically, the Brewers forced the Twins to run and defend, and they didn't want to do it. They just said, screw this. And it looked like it. Harrison Bader, who's a good outfielder, he was very good with the Cardinals. And just to make sure that I wasn't misremembering, I looked up his StatCast today. He's 96th percentile in Major League Baseball in fielding range, outs above average. So if you look at his StatCast, like he is in the top 4% of Major League Baseball players in his outfielding ability. He botched 2 fly balls. He had one that came right at his head. I mean, it was a can of corn and he missed it, and it led to runs. And then later in the game, ball falls between him and shallow left and the shortstop at second base. They just let it drop. And you could hear the boo birds at Target Field. Like their heart was not in it. And then Brooks Lee, you just heard that highlight, doesn't run out of the box to end the game on Saturday. That Twins team quit over the weekend. And I know the Brewers can't small ball their way to 90 wins, which is probably maybe what it's going to take to win this division. If the Cubs offense and pitching, if both come down to earth a little bit, maybe it won't take 90, but you'll need to be in the upper 80s to probably make a playoff spot, whether it's division or wild card. And the Brewers can't small ball their way to that win total, but it'll play against a lot of teams over 162. And it really played against this Twins team. They're down bad, dealing with injuries. The guys who have come up, the younger guys who have come up to help with some of those injuries have completely and totally sucked. The weather sucked. No one felt like going all out on the Twins this weekend, and you could see it. And that, combined with the style of play that the Brewers used, especially in the first 2 games, like no wonder the Brewers ran out of there with double-digit run wins between Friday and Saturday. That Twins team had 0 interest. You need to lock in against the Pat Murphy Brewers because they're going to do all that crap. And if you're not up for fielding and doing all those little things and giving a little bit of effort you need to against a scrappy, kind of ratty small ball team like that, well, that's what it's going to look like. That Twins team the last couple of days was the perfect mark to get smoked by this version of the Brewers, the Pat Murphy Brewers. And Jeff Levering, I was listening to a little bit of the radio broadcast yesterday, coincidentally, while I was in Costco, as I pointed out. And he kept saying, and I can't remember in the exact context, but he was quoting Pat Murphy, who always says, we want the opponent to feel us. We want them to feel, even if you're not winning and even if you're not playing at a high level, we want the opponent to feel us. It's a different way of saying what I'm trying to say is the Brewers force the Twins to play good defense and to execute on the little things and to try hard and to lock in. And the Twins said, no. It's just not where their mind is right now. It's not where their heart is right now. I saw a team quit both on Friday and Saturday. And I think Pat Murphy's, I guess, style of baseball, or the style of baseball that his team plays, like, it's the perfect weapon to use against a Twins team like that at a time like this. I always like to remind people, it's not just who you play, it's when you play them. Pat Murphy hinted at that. Like, last time we saw them, they'd won 13 in a row. Now they're as down bad as any team in baseball. Brewers fans are taking over the park from the western portion of the state, and the Brewers are spraying the ball all over the place, hot shot grounders, little bloops, stolen bases, all this crap. And the Twins said, no, we're really not interested in this right now. And their bats got going a little bit yesterday, but at that point it was too little too late. Because while I wouldn't have preferred to use all of the Brewers' high leverage arms, they were all rested because none of them had to pitch in any high stress outings between Friday and Saturday, when the Twins basically threw in the towel in the halfway point of the game. I mean, the Twins quit Friday and Saturday, and they mostly quit yesterday. They got a little life when the ball started flying, but at that point it was too late, and the ball was flying for the Brewers as well. A day yesterday that really benefited the offense. So that's where we begin. The Brewers have won 20 of their last 27, and I think had the perfect opponent and a perfect set of circumstances over the weekend. And the rest of this week should play pretty well for them too, because they have two of the lesser teams in baseball, the Rockies, who suck worse than any other team in baseball, and the Pirates, who are the Pirates, although Paul Skeens will go on Wednesday, so the Brewers will have to deal with that. Your calls on the Brewers, and if you have thoughts on the NBA Finals, we can mix those in throughout the show. I wanted to lead with the Brewers because I think they deserve the coverage and the adulation right now with how well they've been playing recently, and it's exciting. We have a baseball season. We have an actual division. The Wisco Sports Show, presented by Road America, back in just a couple of minutes, and to your calls at 608-321-1670.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
That is a swing and a miss. Is it a foul ball or no? It's not a foul ball. Lee's heart's not in it. Contreras just puts the tag on him. Hey, that's a bad effort right there. You got to run. Fans paid the money to see a little effort. Lee just goes back to the dugout, and he was done with this day.
One more time, that's Brian Anderson. The Brewers sweep the Twins. That was the final out of Saturday when Brooks Lee, who was fighting for a hitting streak of some number of games in the teens, maybe the upper teens. Like, he's been one of their lone bright spots recently, and he said, screw this. I'm done. And that was my opening take. I think this version of Pat Murphy's Brewers demands that you field and hit and run and lock in a little bit. Or as Levering put it during the radio broadcast yesterday, the Brewers' opponents feel them, right? And the Twins just had zero interest. So I think they were the perfect mark over the weekend. The Brewers have now won 20-27 and are less than 4 games behind the Cubs in the division with 2 easy opponents. Baseball's weird, but they should be able to make more hay this week. 2-year phone calls, 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's that?
Grant, what a weekend it was for our crew.
It was pretty fun. I watched one of the games on Friday night at a bar, Mizorowski. I mean, we haven't talked about Mizorowski yet. He took a no-hitter into the 7th. I mean, he's been unbelievable, and now we get to watch him against Skeens this week. I didn't even mention the Mizzler, as you tweeted.
Yeah, he was out there clip farming, I think, with some of those pitches, locking guys up. Just unreal aura, in my opinion. Although I think he could use a little bit of a makeover. He still looks a little childish. I think a low taper fade might go a long way for him.
Yeah, and I think just shave fully, smooth-faced. The peach fuzz is never a good look for anybody. So maybe in a couple of years, if he gets the ability to do more facial hair, he can do that. Maybe some whitening strips look a little gunky. Like, does he brush his teeth? I don't know. He just looks kind of greasy, but if he throws like that, I guess I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't think we've ever seen a guy throw the way he's throwing in the Milwaukee Brewers uniform. Corbin Burns, Woody, Ben Sheets, Gallardo, Junior Guerra. When those guys were cooking, it still just looked nothing similar to what we're seeing from the Mizzler.
No, it has not. And I think Skeens and him on Wednesday. And Murphy heard, and you heard it, by the way, in Zach's update. Murphy's like, look, there's going to be games where he's going to need to locate maybe better than he has. And it's not just about throwing 100 plus. The nice thing is when you have 102 in your pocket, you can get away with a little, I guess, with a little erraticness. I think his stuff is better than Skeens. Skeens is the better pitcher. I think he has better control and command of his stuff, but I think Miz's stuff, and that sounds like a lazy word. I'm describing his pitches and the movement on them. I think they're better than just about anybody. Forget Brewers legends. I know you mentioned Junior Guerra. That's obviously a good one.
Yeah, and honestly, as sad as it is to say, it's only a matter of time before he blows out his arm. So let's just ride him till he can't go no more.
Yeah, well, and I think that's probably part of the reason I appreciate it, Cone, that they called him up. It's like, well, I know the team isn't exactly killing it right now. They weren't killing it when they brought him up. They were trending in the right direction, but I don't think the Brewers believed that Mizorowski was going to all of a sudden turn them into a team that can go deep in the playoffs. But at some point, it's like you're just wasting bullets in AAA. Like, why are we letting him wear himself out down there? Hopefully he has a nice long career. Probably will have Tommy John at some point, but most pitchers do. And maybe Tommy John can be thought similarly to an ACL injury in football or basketball. They're just so common that the process of recovering from them has gotten smoother and better. Unless you're David Bakhtiari and the team's trying to win one more Super Bowl, then obviously, no chance in hell. But that's just one example. Another call, 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Good afternoon, Grant. It's Badger Bloody Reviews.
Badger Bloody. This is twice in like a week or two span. This is excellent.
I know, right? First of all, I would like to say congrats to Cone Roller on the engagement.
That's true. Oh, I should have said something. He tweeted a picture. Yeah, Miss Cone is they are betrothed now. How exciting is that for the show?
That's awesome. Very happy for the Cone couple.
Congratulations
nice
to the Cones. I'm gonna make a graphic. I'll throw it up on the live stream.
Oh, do it. I'll put it on Twitter. I'll retweet it. Anyway, yeah, good stuff from the Brewers. I'm not going to dive too much into that because I know there's people that probably have a lot more to say than I do. Really fun Game 7 of the NBA Finals, though. Congrats to the Oklahoma City Thunder. I was a little worried, not worried, but just like curious as to how the call or how the game would go after they got whomped by the Pacers in Game 6. But no, back in safe confines of Oklahoma City, they took care of business. I mean, it obviously sucks that Tyrese Halliburton went out with an injury. I mean, you never want to root for injuries. You always want to play teams at their best and at their full strength. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't happy that the OKC Thunder won it and not the Pacers, because as a Eastern Conference division rival, as a Bucks fan, I think we would have had a problem dealing with Pacers fans, particularly after the Giannis comments of I have a ring and they don't.
Yeah, that would have been poor. I also was hoping to avoid dealing with that. Yeah.
That's some bulletin board material that you don't want to be putting out there. But yeah, this OKC team, they're young, they're fun. I do think they're going to win at least one more. If I had to guess right now and put money down, I think they win 2 of the next 5. With the roster that they have, the amount of draft picks that they have, and just the age of some of their players, I don't know if there's any other teams that are going to be able to hang tough with them. And certainly, you look at the state of the East right now with the Celtics and Tatum hurt, and the Bucks with Lillard dealing with his injury, and now the Pacers are dealing with the Halliburton injury. He's out for a year, and we don't know if Joel Embiid can even walk. And the Knicks fired their head coach. It's like, who is going to be the contender out of the East to face the juggernaut that is now the OKC Thunder?
Do you think the Thunder win last night if Halliburton plays the whole game?
No, I think they cover. I think they cover the spread. I don't think they win. I think it's a much closer game, probably like single digits or something.
So you think the Pacers are NBA champions today if not for Tyrese Halliburton's Achilles?
No, I don't. I think Halliburton would have made it a little closer. But
okay. I misheard you. I'm glad I asked.
Yeah,
okay.
No,
okay.
other way around.
Okay.
I think it was 6.5. OKC was favored by. I think it's probably like a 5 to maybe 7 point game if Halliburton plays. But there was just no way they had the horses to keep up with OKC at home. That team is so good in front of their home crowd.
Okay, so I'm glad I asked your follow up. I don't agree with you, Badger Bloody. That's a good call. And we got to take a break here in a minute or two, but maybe on the other side, we can come back and talk about the finals for a couple of minutes. I think the Pacers win if Halliburton doesn't pop his Achilles. Game 7s are weird. Game 7s are unlike any other game throughout the series. Typically throughout a 7-game series, you think the home team has a huge advantage because you got the crowd at your back and you haven't traveled. I think that advantage really starts to pull back in Game 7. I think we've seen this in hockey. We've seen this in the NBA too. At that point, it's so stressful that I think the home team and the home crowd starts to get a little tight. It's like, well, we're at home. We're supposed to win. Like, yeah, I think you get a little tight. In hockey, you start gripping the stick a little bit too tight. In basketball, you might start kicking the ball around. All of a sudden, that wide open 3 that feels so routine all the time. Like in Game 7, I don't know. I don't really care that the Thunder were at home last night because a lot of times in my experience watching Game 7s, hockey and baseball, or in basketball, baseball's kind of, that's a different thing, but hockey and basketball, it usually doesn't matter. It's unlike the other games throughout the first 6 games of the series. So I think the Pacers are NBA champions last night, if not for Halliburton's injury. We'll never know. That's what it felt like to me. Halliburton was off to a great start, by the way. When he was on the ground yelling and pounding the floor, I don't think he was doing that because he was in pain. I think he was doing that because he knows I'm feeling it. We have an awesome opportunity to win a title, and now I won't get that chance. I don't think he was yelling in pain. I think he was mad that his season and his chance to help his team win a title were coming to an end. We'll never know. I think the Pacers would have won. Let's take one more call. Brewers, NBA, whatever. But when we come back on the other side, I'll give you some thoughts about the Thunder and what this result tells us about the future of the NBA, especially the Eastern Conference. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this? Hello, hello?
Am I on?
Yes. Hello? Yes, you are on.
Hey, Grant, this is Secondhand Smoke John here.
Hey, what's up, John? Welcome to the show.
What's up? What's up, dude? Driving, not in Dallas, Wisconsin right now, but driving home from Mount Horeb.
Wow.
And, it's summertime, so spending time with my boy right now, listening to your show, and he's got a question for you, if you can take a question.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, go ahead.
Who do you think is going to win the matchup on Wednesday? Jacob Mezarowski or Paul Skeens?
I think the Brewers, because I think the Pirates, other than Skeens, mostly stink. The Brewers have plenty of good players and good things other than Mizorowski. You know what I mean? So if Skeens and Mizorowski, let's say they both pitch 6 shutout innings or whatever, I like the Brewers' chances to do something in the other 3 or 4 innings if that's what it comes down to. You know what I mean, John?
Absolutely.
All right. Are you guys going?
We're going tomorrow. It's Little League night at Miller Park, Forever Miller Park.
Yeah.
But we missed it by one freaking day, the matchup of the year.
Yeah. Well, and look at it this way. You might have more fun tomorrow. You might get more bang for your buck tomorrow because there might be more fireworks and offense, and the game will probably take a little bit longer. That game could be fast and boring. It's cool to watch those pitchers, but maybe a more watchable, more exciting experience either tonight or tomorrow. You know what I mean?
That's true. I didn't look up. Is Wednesday, is that a 1 o'clock or what is that?
Yeah, it's a 1:10. That's an afternoon game.
Ooh, a little bit of day drinking.
There is that. And I think they pull pretty well in the summer during the day, especially with that matchup. Secondhand Smoke John, I believe, is maiden voyage on the show. So I see his account on Twitter. And a couple weeks ago, I DM'd him because I don't know if we were going back and forth on Twitter. I saw one of his tweets and his location on his account, like his home, people will say Madison or La Crosse. Like some people have a joke there, but some people have their hometown. And it said Dallas, Wisconsin. And I DM'd him. I'm like, dude, do you really live in Dallas? Because Dallas is like a wide spot in the road. Like, would it be south of Barron or is it north of Barron? It's like pretty close to where I grew up. I'm like, I've never seen anyone reference Dallas, Wisconsin on the internet anywhere. And he's like, oh, no, I just, not to put him on blast. He's like, I went to a wedding there once, thought it was kind of cool. So that's what he put on his Twitter account. So I thought we had a listener in Dallas, Wisconsin, which would be very funny. My dad, very funny man. And I can't remember where he heard this. Always pointed out that we grew up in the Eau Claire area, from Menominee, in between Dallas and El Paso. Dallas north of Eau Claire, and then El Paso down towards Happy by Prescott, wherever the Rush River is. I can't place it on a map in my head right now. But yeah, you can tell people if you're from the Eau Claire area, I grew up in between Dallas and El Paso. I appreciate it. Have fun at the game tomorrow night to Secondhand Smoke John and Little Secondhand Smoke John. When we come back, I'll give you some NBA thoughts. A lot of just random different thoughts about last night, both the Thunder and the Pacers and what it means for basketball. And then you have the whole Achilles thing. And that was the third Achilles tear of the playoffs, which is just depressing. So we'll start to pick at that a little bit. And by the way, submit your questions for the Monday mailbag. GrantBills21@gmail.com. That's coming up in hour number 2.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Folks, OKC has one elite scorer. He had 3 bad games, shot 24% from 3. Chet Holmgren disappeared for 5 games. J-Dub disappeared for several, and they won. That's the champion. I'm not sure they do if Halliburton remains in the game. Baseball's best teams right now are stacked and feel like it. Attendance ratings up. The NFL's best teams, Ravens, Kansas City, Philadelphia, stacked, ratings up. The new NBA, it's like you're battling the CBA as much as opponents.
That's Cowherd earlier today. I thought Cowherd's opening lead about the finals was spot on. Maybe a little dismissive of the Thunder. It's really tricky because the Thunder just won the NBA Finals, and I never like diminishing a champion because it's not fair. Like, if our team won a title, I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to be told anything. My team is on top of the world. Suck it. You could never take that away from us. And that's true. And Oklahoma City fans should be feeling like that today, and they should not take the time to watch all of the shows nationally and to just get angry about what people are saying. But I think there's a lot of truth there. It's like in this new NBA, the way that the CBA has been set up, like that Thunder team doesn't win the title 10 years ago. They're not good enough. They're not consistent enough. They haven't been weathered enough. They're not experienced enough. But in this era, they're the champions. And I think this is the finals, and this is the champion that Adam Silver deserves. And this is the finals broadcast, and everything about it was, I think, the doing of Adam Silver and his decision-making, the CBA that's been put into effect. Shockingly, just about every team voted for it other than Oklahoma City, which is funny considering they're the ones who benefited from it. And they got a very balanced, kind of not watered down, but a balanced NBA where they didn't have to contend with super teams. And this team plays against teams that aren't super teams. The graphics being switched around on the court, the halftime show and the ESPN broadcast, like, this is the finals that I think the league earned. And this is the finals that Adam Silver deserved. I think there were plenty of good things about this finals. I think people are too down on it. There were some great games and great moments. Problem is, Halliburton pops his Achilles and we want to treat the whole thing like it sucked, which isn't true. But I understand why people feel that way today. Your calls on the NBA Finals or the Brewers, 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Did I miss a secondhand Smoke John phone call?
You did, Vagabond John. Another John. One John to another. You did last segment, yeah.
Side note, I think we're up to 5 Johns total, if I'm tracking this correctly. But
well, there's a good amount.
Wow. Grant, this show is reaching new heights. You have turned a listener or a longtime what would you say?
Critic?
Pessimist of the show. Critic into a caller. That's electric. And
I think I extended an olive branch on Twitter. I DM'd him because I thought there was a chance that he was from Dallas, Wisconsin, which is very close to where I grew up. And it best described as a wide spot in the road. Like you miss Dallas and Hillsdale if you're going 58 instead of 55, you just won't see it. But it was just a Twitter bit. But hopefully that helped bridge the divide a little bit.
Well, I think for sports fans all across the state, if you are a big Brewers fan, if the summer is about baseball for you, this is the show for you. You cover the Brewers better than certainly. I mean, I don't even know if Milwaukee knows that baseball exists. I wouldn't listen to them for any sport, let alone baseball. But no, Grant, I think you do a great job of covering the Brewers, and I've been selling this show to that man for years now, and it's glad to hear he's finally calling in.
This seems like a trap. This seems like you're building me up to knock me down over something. Is that where this is going?
No.
Well, thank you for the kind words, then.
Authentic.
I appreciate it.
It's authentic. Hey, real quick on the NBA, the basketball was awesome, right? Doesn't that suck? Like the games were great. The games were close for the most part across the playoffs. But Grant, I can't watch these games with the sound on. Like it's a terrible product. So I don't know. I don't know what the deal is, right? I doubt the NFL is going to have Doris Burke or whoever doing the Super Bowl anytime soon, right? And no knock on her, and she knows ball sometimes, right? But it was just like unrecognizable people calling games, then going to a halftime show that's absolute chaos.
Yeah.
They're not calling fouls in the way. If you do want to criticize the basketball, the TJ McConnell stuff that's coming out today is real. I mean, the guy's grabbing his arm clearly and pulling, and it's like these fouls aren't getting called. So I think the NBA has two problems. One, they can't figure out which target market they're trying to please. And if you're a company out there and you don't understand which target market you're trying to please, you're going to end up pleasing nobody. You're getting that on front number one. And then on front number two, they've got a superstar problem. They are officiating superstars so much different than everybody else. And it leads to these biggest moments being, and this is true for other sports too, but it just ends up being way more about the officiating than it ever needs to be.
Here's the thing. You said they officiate superstars differently. The problem, I don't think that's the problem. That's always been the case. The problem is not they're officiating superstars differently. It's that the superstars in this series, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander most notably, people don't care enough about him. Like if that's Steph Curry or Giannis or Jokic or LeBron and he's getting those calls, we're fine with it because that person is a legend. That's a titan.
A brand.
Shai is like, I got to watch this guy shoot. And that's no disrespect to Shai. But as I said last week, there's only 3 or 4 superstars, in my opinion. And LeBron is one. And you know what I mean? Like, he's old. He's not. But I don't think it's the fouling problem. I think it's who is drawing the fouls.
Yeah, and I guess I would just flip it. Like, I don't necessarily think it's because the stars are getting called. I think it's the way that they're officiating these role players, especially when you're asking these guys to gruel through 82 games, right? Don't get Sam Becker started, by the way, on Twitter yesterday about injuries. That was a fun conversation.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm supposed to talk about hockey now, I think. No, but you're asking these guys to do more than they ever have, and the role players aren't getting the same whistle. It's like they're playing a different game. So I actually don't mind the stars getting the calls if it's a foul, call the foul, right? But it's the way that these role players are going out there like a bat out of hell, driving to the basket, and they're just like getting tackled. And then there's no call. That to me is the bigger problem of just, as somebody who casually watches, I don't understand how they officiate so differently. So
and I think that's a great point, Vagabond John, and it leads me into one of my many things that I kind of had on my list today as I knew we'd go back and forth between the Brewers and the finals. I don't have a personal dislike for the Thunder. Shai seems very nice. What a lame way to say that. He seems like a very likable person. I have no problem with Shai. I don't even really have a problem with the free throws. I have nothing against Shai. I have nothing against Jalen Williams. Chet's kind of a dumbass, but I have nothing against Oklahoma City, the people. I kind of have a little bit of an issue with OKC, the team or the machine or what they've built, because I think what we have in Oklahoma City and the fouling that you mentioned, Vagabond John, is part of this. This is a team that's figured out how to maximize all of the stats and not just points, rebounds, assists. I'm talking about the stats that the analysts use. And I'm not anti-analytics, but I think the Thunder have gotten a little too smart for their own good. This has happened in baseball too, where we max out the stats to such a degree that it actually impacts the watchability and the entertainment factor of the game itself. I think the Thunder figured out we're going to max net rating. We're going to max point differential. We're going to set records for how much we win games by, and the net ratings you jump off the screen, and we're going to defend in such a way that puts all the sliders up to 10. You know what I mean? Like, statistically, this team lights up the box score or the cleaning the glass or whatever, whatever stats. And that's why all these blog boys have written about Oklahoma City since December as one of the best teams ever created. It's like, no, I just think they're really good at all the things that people have decided that teams should be good at. You know what I mean? Like, net rating should not be an end-all, be-all. Point differential should not be a be-all, end-all. But I think Oklahoma City created this team to max out all of the statistics that the analysts have decided are important. And in this environment of the NBA, that works because Jalen Williams can disappear for a game and it's not going to sting him. SGA can shoot 30% from three over the course of a series and it's not going to sting him because they're not going up against what the Spurs were or what the Warriors were or what the Heat were or what the Cavs were. This Thunder team, very well constructed and very well built. But for my entire lifetime, and especially in my favorite decade of the NBA, watch, the 2010s are going to become my 1990s Michael Jordan that I always talk about. But the 2010s are my favorite decade. A lot of super teams and a lot of the same teams repeating and getting it done. And a big part of that was LeBron and then Curry later. But that's the decade that I like. And throughout that decade, I saw half a dozen of these teams just like Oklahoma City. The Houston Rockets with James Harden were one. The Utah Jazz when Quinn Snyder and Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert were there a little bit later on in the decade towards 2020. They were one of them. The Atlanta Hawks in the East earlier in the decade with Mike Budenholzer, they were one. I think the Bucks with Bledsoe, Middleton, and Giannis for the first 2 years before the pandemic, they were one of those teams where all season long, they win the most regular season games, and every article and podcast that you read and listen to says, we've never seen a net rating like this since blah, blah, blah. This is the best team since the blah, 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 in terms of point differential and all these big. And then you know what happened to all those teams? They squared off with LeBron and a couple of his buddies in the second round, and LeBron and his buddies stuck it up their ass. You know what I mean? Almost analogously to the jocks stuffing the nerd in the locker. Like, that's kind of what happened. Or the Spurs or the Warriors would do that. Because at the end of the day, net rating and point differential and WARP or CAT or whatever other stat that the analyst in today's day and age is like, that's the indicator. It's like, no, probably not. Like, I don't know that any stat is an end-all, be-all, but these are the stats that we've decided. Those things don't win games. Really, really good teams with really good players win games and championships. And then as a secondary thing, it normally is reflected in all those statistics. I cut this from First Things First earlier today. I thought Chris Broussard nailed it. It's just a 15-second soundbite. This is basically him saying in 15 seconds what I just took like 8 minutes to say.
You can have one of the greatest seasons and not be one of the greatest teams ever. I can have a great show, all-time great show, but not necessarily be the greatest.
Well, I think, how about this?
So I'm just saying.
I think it's a great take. You can statistically have one of the greatest seasons. Doesn't make you one of the greatest teams. So I'm not going to sit here and be Johnny Raincloud and be like, the Thunder, this is the worst team I've seen win a championship in forever. Although I think they might be, but that's not through their lack of talent. It's the way that they've been built. Teams that have been built this way for almost my whole lifetime don't win finals games. Because when Jalen Williams goes quiet in game 6 after lighting it up in game 5, his team loses and it cost him. You know what I mean? Like, imagine if Drew Holiday was a no-show for an entire series when they were trying to win a championship. They'd be dead on arrival. That's basically what Chet was. Now, Chet was good defensively, but the Bucks lost in the playoffs, considering, excluding the title year, because Drew Holiday would come and go on offense. And that got you beat because back in those days, teams would have multiple superstars and they were constructed in a way with real metal and muscle and championship experience. This Thunder team's not built the same way. They have maximized and capped out this current version of the NBA as it's constructed. And that's great for them. It's just not historically the type of championship team that I've seen in my lifetime. And I think we have to adjust to that a little bit. Even if you don't like it, right? You have to realize what they are and what they mean in this climate of this current CBA and this NBA. Let's take a break. A couple more thoughts on this before we wrap the hour. I'm also going to get to some of your texts over at 608-321-1670.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Big River Rally coming to La Crosse, Wisconsin, June 27th and 28th. Don't miss the excitement on the main stage Friday night. It's Texas Hippie Coalition. And Saturday night, Drowning Pool. Tickets are on.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
And so OKC is nothing special. They're a legit champion, and they'll be a playoff team for a while. And full marks to their GM and blah, their cap space and blah, blah, blah. All their draft picks have it. Yeah, great. And all the white boys on the internet can dork out for hours on end about how OKC can stay out of the second apron with their draft picks and go nuts, kids. That team is nothing special. They're not going to win again anytime soon. There'll be someone else next year. And don't give me this OKC thing.
That's our friend Mike Felger. I was just completely and totally cruising the internet today. All the different shows and all the different voices that I like to listen to. I'm like, I'm just going to grab any opinion. Now, that's a very exaggerated, direct way of saying what I was saying in the last segment. I played you that clip of Chris Broussard and also that clip of Cowherd. I think everybody's kind of saying the same thing about Oklahoma City, saying a little bit differently. I think Oklahoma City has maximized the formula to win within this NBA. And that's why the nerds, and I say that loving, I don't even say that as a slur, the nerds who grind all the film and dig through all the stats and pour through all the data to give us breakdowns and to give us articles and podcasts on all these teams, love the Thunder because the Thunder have maximized all of the stats that those nerds have decided, like, that's what tells the story. You gotta be number one in net rating. You gotta be number one in WARP or in CAT or in all these different things. That's not really the way it works. The way it works is the best team has the best players and makes the biggest plays in the biggest moments. And typically they're a team that's failed and had to fail before. And then they win the title. And then you look at their statistical breakdown and you're like, wow, look at how good their net rating was. Look at how good this, that, and the other thing. That's the way it works. It shouldn't be the other way around, right? You shouldn't say, well, if we want to win a title, we got to figure out how to have the best net rating. No. That's like trying to complete the test using an answer key. It's like, it's not supposed to go that way. So I think the Thunder, and this series had plenty of great moments. I won't stand for people saying, oh, this is a bad finals. Game 1 was an instant classic. Was it game 4 when the Thunder fought to get one on the road? I thought that game was brilliant. It didn't come down to the wire, but what a crazy display of shot making from Jalen Williams, who had 40. It's like, man, if Jalen Williams scores 40 in a final game, what am I supposed to do? Just like, I'm not supposed to be impressed by that. I'm not supposed to I thought that game was outstanding. So already this NBA finals just in 2 games gave me 10 times more than last year's finals did. Now you can say last year's finals, well, that had Luka, that had a true superstar, I guess, but we spent most of the series talking about how Luka was fat and out of shape. If Luka was scoring 55 a night and unstoppable and the Celtics were just better anyways, sure. Then I'll say, yeah, that was better. But Luka had run out of gas and he didn't really show like you'd expect a superstar to meet. There's 3 or 4 superstars in the NBA at any given time. That's it. So don't give me Jimmy Butler. Don't give me Tyrese Halliburton. Maybe Shea's won an MVP now. He's very close. I still don't think he's there. I still don't think he moves the meter the same way that some of these other guys do. Giannis, Jokic, LeBron in his prime, Curry or Durant in their prime too. I think this finals was great and it did more for me than last year's finals did. But the result is a little different. It's a change of pace. I said I'd get to some of your text. I apologize. I didn't. That was what that finals is supposed to be. But then I got ranting about that soundbite that I played for you. So your text on the other side of Zach's update. Also get back to the phone calls. Brewers and NBA finals. That's what we're doing. And then the Monday mailbag, the very end of the show, grantbills21@gmail.com. Zach will get you updated. 2 minutes, no commercials. We'll be right back.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers back home tonight after sweeping the Twins. Milwaukee did it by scoring 30, including at one point scoring 27 straight without any home runs. Manager Pat Murphy liked the small ball, but wouldn't mind seeing more balls being hit out of the park.
Yeah, I love it. We're being little woodpeckers and probably should get in the weight room. Yeah, I like homers. Yeah, I like homers a lot. So let's make no mistake about it.
Tonight, Brewers going to open up a series against the Pirates at American Family Field. The crew will send Chad Patrick to the mound. Cubs in 3-7 with a 3.50 ERA. Pirates will counter with Braxton Ashcraft. He's 1-0 with a 1.54 ERA. Milwaukee comes in winners of 4 straight, sitting just 3.5 games back of the first-place Cubs in the NL Central. They're also a season-high 8 games above 500. The Pirates enter in last place in the division, 17 games under 500. They sport a negative 61-run differential heading into tonight, which is the 4th worst in the NL. First pitch is set for 6:40.
Get insurance from a company who knows Wisconsin and cares about your community. You may know Rural Mutual Insurance as the #1 farm insurer, but did you know they also offer competitive home and auto rates? Visit ruralmutual.com to learn more about products and discounts.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, the NBA season is in the books after last night's Game 7 win by Oklahoma City. Now the focus shifts to the draft, which gets going Wednesday. Milwaukee has just one pick over the 2 rounds, pick number 47 in the second round. All eyes also on Giannis Antetokounmpo as his potential future among the biggest topics here this offseason. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
They were on how many games in a row?
13. It ended up being 13.
Yeah. And they beat the dog out of us. I think it was a 2 out of 3. I mean, it wasn't even contest. And they were rolling, then we caught them at the wrong time. And then they caught us at the wrong time this time.
0-2 the count. And it's in there! A cold strike 3! McGill rings the bell. And the Brewers win. They sweep the Minnesota Twins.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
Hour number 2, going to get back to your phone calls here in just 60 seconds. I do want to service the text line just a little bit. It's 608-321-1670. On the topic of Dallas, Wisconsin, I believe it's an unincorporated community between Ridgeland and Barron. We have a caller from there. He says he's from there. He's not actually, which I was disappointed to hear. Secondhand smoke John. I got a text here from Jason in Eau Claire. Says, great little 9-hole golf course in Dallas, Wisconsin, south of Barron. Yes, Pinecrest. Of course, and actually that's an 18-hole course. I hate to correct you, Jason in Eau Claire. It's actually an 18-hole course. You just got to play them all twice. Coyote Mike says, Grant, I mentioned their schedule last week, and now after sweeping the Twins, these 6 Brewer games are really important. They need to beat Pittsburgh and pound, in all caps, he says, Colorado with a purpose. Continue their momentum. At some point when they're on track, they got to stay up and on the track. Do you think the Cubs are looking in their rearview mirror yet? Absolutely. Austin texted me about it, Cubs fan who you hear on all of our shows. And then Sam Olber messaged me on Twitter. We had him on from Locked On Cubs early last week. He said, yeah, you guys might be in first place by the end of the week because the Cubs have regressed a little bit. I still think they're very good, and I still think they're the best team in this division, but they've come back down to earth just a bit. And I think the Brewers are coming up to earth just a bit. And look at the schedule this week. The Brewers are white hot, and now they have the Pirates and then the Rockies at home. So this is a week they should be able to make some hay. Would love to continue talking about Brewers, but am more than willing to talk about the Thunder and what comes next for the NBA now that their season is done as well. 608-321-1670, Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Denny from Holman.
Hey, Denny. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I hope you had a great weekend. We had a really good baseball weekend for our Brewers.
Damn right we did.
And I feel that the Pacers, when they lost that game with 13 points with 5 minutes left.
Yeah, that was game 4, right there.
That was it.
You thought that was it?
Yep.
Yeah.
And, another thing I wanted to compare it to is, when Patrick Mahomes, somebody touches him, it's like usually a flag, but like for Love, they could take his head off and nothing happens.
Sure.
Yeah. And the way that I look at it is, if the refs could call somewhat the similar game, but I mean, you've seen all the elbowing, and I mean, it's just unreal. They almost need football helmets out there.
Well, and Vagabond John brought this up. I contend that the issue is not that the refs are giving a bunch of calls to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I don't think that's what's bothering people. What's bothering people is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is getting the calls that you expect LeBron, Giannis, Jokic, those guys to get. And if those guys were in the finals getting the calls, then it's, he's a superstar. That's how it works. Shai, I guess, was that guy in the series, but it just didn't give us the same oomph that, some of these previous guys. And Luka was in last year's finals. He was thoroughly outclassed, but that's a blue chip guy. And this season we had Shai, who's great and deserves all the credit, but nobody wants to see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander shoot all those free throws. Nobody's up for that.
And, I would have liked to see that game without an injured, Halbert.
I would have too, because I kind of think the Pacers would have won, or the game would have been close down the stretch. And the Thunder, we've talked about this. The Thunder are the type of team that kind of needs to get out and run and win with a big margin, because you saw their offense in crunch time last night, Denny. They kind of just let Shai and Jalen Williams dribble around and jack shots. And the Pacers in crunch time can run sets. They can actually get buckets.
And some of those shots that they were making, the Thunder were way beyond the three.
They were off. They were bad shots. All of them were bad shots. But because Halliburton wasn't there, the Pacers went down on the other end and couldn't penalize him, which I think a lot of people in the last couple minutes are like, all right, let's just wrap this up. Like, I think a lot of people would have loved to see the Thunder run away with it, look awesome in the last couple of minutes, look commanding. But instead, they look kind of underwhelming, and people like us, Denny, are left wondering, it's like, okay, would you guys have even won if Tyrese Halliburton doesn't, pop his leg in the first quarter?
Right. And what was your opinion on Doris Burke? Did you like her as the announcer of the third one?
Yeah, I think she's fine. I miss the old booth. Yeah. I like Van Gundy and those guys. They're fine.
Me too. Yep.
I'm not going to lose sleep over
definitely.
announcers.
No.
For the most part.
Like I said, I thought that Stephen A. said it great at halftime. This game is not over. Just because you got him down does not mean that team cannot come and win yet, but
no, I agree.
Like, unfortunately, it was over when he went down. That was it.
The Thunder's defense was good enough to hold on and win. The Thunder offense in the last couple minutes, Denny, I appreciate the call. They were a mess. They just let Shea dribble around and waste time and then jack some awful contested shot. And it worked just well enough, and he got just enough free throws where they were able to win comfortably, but not commandingly and not in a way that made everyone watching go, that's what a champion looks like. But without Halliburton, Oklahoma City's defense could lean on them enough to close it out. And I couldn't believe it. The end of the third quarter and the beginning of the fourth, the Pacers went on a little bit of a run. They made it like, I'm just loosely using numbers. It went from somewhere like an 18-point game to like an 11-point game. And again, I'm looking at Twitter and everyone's calling the game dead and calling the game done. That's happened in every game this series when the Thunder jump out to a nice little lead and everyone's like, not only are the Thunder going to win the title, they're going to win the next three. And then what happens? The Pacers go on a run and you're like, oh yeah, basketball's that kind of sport where a 12-point lead in the second or third quarter doesn't mean anything. So that frustrated me about this series. Again, nothing against the Thunder. I just think that if in 2021, Drew Holiday doesn't show up for an entire series offensively the same way that Chet didn't, they're not winning a title. You know what I mean? Or if Pascal Siakam as the second option in Toronto in 2019 doesn't show up the same way that Chet or Jalen Williams disappeared in a couple games, they're not winning. And the Thunder won with a little bit of a different set of standards this time around, which is fine. You win the games that you can win and you play within the rules that are set. I just think it's a little bit of an adjustment for people. I'll play you Colin Cowherd's commentary from earlier today just because I think it's so apt. I think his lead was excellent. And I'm actually excited to listen to a little bit more of Cowherd's show on the drive home because John Middlecoff was in McIntyre's chair today. I love Middlecoff, so I'm going to try to listen to a little bit of that. But this is Cowherd, I think, really nicely describing how Oklahoma City won a title in a little bit of a different climate and context.
Folks, OKC has one elite scorer. He had 3 bad games, shot 24% from 3. Chet Holmgren disappeared for 5 games. J-Dub disappeared for several, and they won. That's the champion. I'm not sure they do if Halliburton remains in the game. Baseball's best teams right now are stacked and feel like it. Attendance ratings up. The NFL's best teams, Ravens, Kansas City, Philadelphia, stacked. Ratings up. The new NBA, it's like you're battling the CBA as much as opponents.
See, Cowherd really could have done a great turn of phrase there if he said, in today's day and age, how did he end that? Let me listen to that one more time.
It's like you're battling the CBA as much as opponents.
What he should say is, teams are battling the CBA as much as they're battling the NBA. Send that over maybe if they have a P.O. box or something at the Fox studios. I was just thinking as he was talking, he mentioned at the very beginning, one more time, he talked about Shea having a couple bad games. Their only legit scorer. Let me try that one more time.
Folks, OKC has one elite scorer. He had 3 bad games, shot 24% from 3.
So there you go. So that's the standard, right? The funny thing is, I think about Giannis and what he had to do in 2020, 2021 against the Suns. Giannis scored 30 and had 17 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks, and 2 steals in game 1, and they lost. They lost by 13, actually. It wasn't close. The rest of the series, Giannis went for 42, 41, 26, 14, and 8, and then 50 in game 6. And if he doesn't go for those exact stat lines or more in all those games, they lose them all or lose a couple of them. They lose the series. And I think that's why people are saying, okay, so the Thunder are a great team, but like, what part of this championship team is knocking me over? What part of this championship team or this championship am I telling my kids about in 10 years? Or like, what? Oh, pull up the highlights. Remember when that guy did that? Like, it just wasn't super impressive, especially last night. Last night is a bummer because if Halliburton plays the whole game and the Thunder hold on to win, that's a really nice, no matter how it looks, that's a really impressive win. If they blow him out, very impressive. If they beat him in crunch time, probably even more impressive. But they will have beaten the Pacers at full strength. It kind of feels like they got let off the hook a little bit, and they didn't impress me in the last couple of minutes. It was a lot of Shea taking awful contested shots or Jalen Williams taking awful contested shots. And then you notice when the game started to get tight, they couldn't inbound the ball. They had to take a timeout. They had to use their last timeout with a couple minutes left. Shea had 5 fouls because they couldn't inbound the ball because Shea and Jalen Williams are standing together next to each other, and then they're going the same way. Like they had no strategy or no rhyme or reason trying to inbound the ball. Like that's not the level of basketball you come to expect from a team that's winning a title. And again, I don't say that to take away, anything from Oklahoma City. I want to be impressed just a little bit more. Let's talk about the Brewers for a couple minutes, but first a text from Cone Roller. It says, Grant, as a recently engaged man like yourself, I'd like to lean on some of the happily married listeners like Big Ron, Clemhead Mike, and Eric on I-90 for advice. So I tell you what, if we hear from any of those gentlemen, either today or tomorrow, the next time they call in, I'll ask them on behalf. Cone, congrats again on your engagement. Congratulations to the Cones from the entire Wisco Sports Show community. Brewers with a really nice weekend. And I said back at 4:00, like that Twins team down bad the way that they are right now, the perfect mark for Pat Murphy's Brewers, because they're going to put the ball in play and make you field and make you run and make you execute. And the Twins just had no appetite to do that. And that came to a head Saturday night, specifically the final at bat of the game. This is BA's call of, I don't remember, was it Brooks Lee, the hitter? This is BA's call. This is how you could tell the Twins were just done.
That is a swing and a miss. Is it a foul ball or no? It's not a foul ball. Lee's heart's not in it. Contreras just puts the tag on him. Hey, that's a bad effort right there. You got to run. Fans paid the money to see a little effort. Lee just goes back to the dugout, and he was done with this day. 3 up, 3 down inning for him.
He was done with this day. That's the road announcer. You know what I mean? It would have been easy for him to just ignore that and to start talking about the Brewers. And he's like, his heart's not in it, man. Like, called him out on the broadcast. So the Brewers, what they did over the weekend series, it doesn't surprise me because the Twins are just a team that was ripe to quit, and the Brewers played in a way that I'd probably quit too. Like, what a pain in the ass. Like, oh, Frelick's going to hit another bloop into shallow right. Oh, Durbin's going to score on another sac fly. Like, it's 100 degrees out here, man. We've lost how many of our last how many games? They were what in the month of June? I took some stretches. Since June 5th, the Twins are in a 3-13 stretch. Pablo Lopez is injured. Their infielder, Jonah Bride, has pitched in as many games as Juan Duran, their actual, really high-level closer, who pitched in the 8th yesterday because Rocco Baldelli's like, I need to get him some work. And if I don't use him now, we might not get to use him because the Brewers might come up and score another 3 runs. And at that point, the game's basically over. So the Brewers wore down a team that was begging to be worn down this weekend. Yesterday became a little bit of a calamity. Some of it was preventable, some not. I saw a lot of complaints about Murphy yesterday and a lot of complaints about the bullpen. Okay, a couple of thoughts on how yesterday went. Priester came back down to earth. So a lot of people bitching about that. If that's his worst start, I think I will take it. It felt like he was probably due to come back down to earth. He only went 3 1/3 innings, which was a little confusing to me. He only threw 76 pitches. This is Murph talking about why he was pulled early. I'm not sure what to make of this.
There was good performances on the mound. Priester's stuff wasn't moving the way we're concerned. His stuff wasn't moving the way it has in the past, and that's what led to an early exit. It was quite a bit different than what had been. We don't know if it was the wind, game conditions, whatever it might have been. But so early exit.
By the way, in a game where the ball's flying and both of the offenses were feeling it from early and often, and they had been, at least the Brewers had been all weekend, I'll take 3 or 4 earned runs in your worst start. And I think that was just about the worst version we've seen of Quinn Priester, save for maybe the start or two when he first got here. The 3 1/3 is a little concerning. Like, I'd like to be able to get him into the 5th at the very least. Okay, but Quinn Priester's worst start in a while. He's a contact pitcher, so you're going to have that. A lot of those balls just snuck through, and some of them didn't. There was plenty of hard contact too. But in previous starts, a lot of that soft contact has gone right to guys or been fielded. Yesterday, it wasn't. So let's set Priester to the side. If he can just get into the fifth, I feel a lot better about that start, but I'm still not losing too much sleep over it. And I'm a Quinn Priester skeptic, so if anyone should be losing sleep over it, it's me. The next two arms out of the pen were Rob Zastryzny and Grant Anderson. I don't understand why Rob Zastryzny only goes 2/3 of an inning. He only threw 7 pitches. Can he not come back out? And then Grant Anderson only pitches 1 inning, 19 pitches. Like, you couldn't have got a second inning out of either one of those guys. That really would have helped, because then you get to DL Hall, and I think DL Hall is the GOAT of yesterday's game. I think he was the worst offender of anyone, coach or player, yesterday. He cannot come into the game in that spot and only retire 1 batter. That's just not acceptable. They probably ran him out there hoping for 2 innings at the very least, maybe 3, and then you get the save. And you don't have to use Mears. You don't have to use McGill. You don't have to use Koenig. Now, Uribe got an outing yesterday anyways because he needed the work, and he did his job. All right, go out there, go through your routine of pitching an inning, and if you do your job right, you'll be in and out in just a breeze. He threw 11 pitches, 9 of them were strikes. Bam, you're in and out. You check the box of getting some work, and that's all that it needed to be. So well done, Uribe. DL Hall's got to, if not get them to the end of the game, get through 2 innings. And the bastard retired 1 hitter. And Murphy comes out of the dugout and he's like, you have got to be kidding me. I get this from Ashby. I don't need this from you too. That threw the rest of the game out of whack. And on DL Hall, another thing, Jack Stern pointed this out on Twitter yesterday, and I hadn't checked this number. His strikeout to walk ratio right now is 1.1. That is not going to work. That is not acceptable. If that's the way you're going to pitch, then you can't pitch for me. I can't trust you as an opener. I can't trust you as a reliever. And I sure as hell can't trust you as a starter. So everything about DL Hall's performance yesterday, and especially his strikeout to walk ratio, his command, is completely and totally unacceptable. That will not play. Like, he's going to get sent down if you get more of that. That forced Mears to come in and be the fireman, forced Koenig to come in when they probably would have liked to avoid using him. In true Jared Koenig fashion, I see a lot of hate for Jared Koenig. Jared Koenig has this weird tendency to get the first 2 guys and then fail to get the third and then give up some runs in the press. So all the credit in the world to Trevor McGill coming in and getting that guy and then staying fresh for the 9th and getting the job done there too. Like, Trevor McGill, have yourself a week from what he pulled off in Chicago and then what he pulled off yesterday. I would have liked to see a little bit more length out of Zastryzny and Grant Anderson. You don't need 3 innings each, but like, could Zastryzny maybe throw more than 7 pitches? And could Grant Anderson maybe throw more than 19? I think so. That still creates a problem at the back end of the game with DL Hall, but it's a lesser problem. And a hat tip to Abner Uribe, because he's in yesterday because he needs work, and he did it exactly how you'd want. Go up there and pound the zone, get through 3 hitters, check the box, go through your routine, getting an outing in, staying in rhythm, and then get off the field so you can't get worn down and you can't get injured. So really frustrated with DL Hall yesterday, and I can only imagine what Murph was thinking as he walked out to get him. He's like, all right, yeah. You know what? Sure, DL. You know what? Let's bring in Nick Mears. Although maybe Murphy probably loved doing that. But the rest of the day, between Koenig and McGill, Murphy's probably like, this freaking guy. Traded Corbin Burns for this guy. Joey Ortiz, no longer the worst part of the return, at least on this day. We'll talk about that next. He's not the worst part of the Corbin Burns trade. When we come back, I want to revisit a couple of talking points we hit last Thursday, specifically the recent performances of Joey Ortiz and Isaac Collins. So keep your phone calls coming. And by the way, submit those emails to the Monday Mailbag, grantbills21@gmail.com.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Again, I'm sorry for doing this every single meeting with you guys, but William Contreras was great back there. You know what I mean? Like, he was great. Yeah.
I got it in my story yesterday.
And he did you?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't really read your stories.
I don't expect you to.
Ever.
That exchange doesn't really have much to do with anything. I just thought it was funny. Murph slapping down Todd Rosiak a little bit. That's good manager scribe banter right there. That's what that is. I had it in my story yesterday. Well, I don't really read your story. Ever. I love Todd Rosiak. Todd, just a little background. So a big part of my job, at least working on Bill's show, is asking favors from people. Like, hey, can you do Bill's show? Can you come on and talk about this? Can you talk, And I'm not trying to be a jerk. I try to be personable. And if I'm asking you to come on the show, I'd like to have read your work or heard your work or know a little bit about you. And we're so lucky in Wisconsin because all the folks who cover the teams and talk about the teams on TV radio, most of them are really willing to do radio because it's like, that's how I, connect with fans. And that's how I really appreciate that because that's how I feel about sports talk radio, but not everybody does. Todd is one cagey son of a gun. Todd, the funny thing is Todd is very nice. In all of my interactions with Rosiak, he's awesome, but he likes to play the game. He likes shutting me down when I ask him to come on. And it's turned into it's not like I text him every day, but every couple of weeks or every couple of months, be like, hey, Todd, if you do this, I won't ask you again until such and such a date. He did Bill's show at the end of the season last year. And I said, Todd, the season has ended. Devin Williams' time is probably done as a Brewer. This is big time, Todd. If you do it this week, I won't ask you again in this calendar year. And he did it. And I did not make good on that promise. I have asked him to do it since the calendar year. And he has not. He's holding up his end of what he said. I do enjoy Todd Rosiak quite a bit. One more time.
Great. Yeah.
I got it in my story yesterday.
I got it in my story yesterday.
And
he did you?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't really read your stories.
I don't expect you to.
Ever.
You at least lie.
Ever.
Oh, Todd. I do love Rosiak. By the way, quite a showing on the Microbrew podcast earlier today. No Kurt, no Todd, but we got Spencer Michaelis. And I want to play a little clip from that for you talking about both Isaac Collins and Joey Ortiz, but specifically Isaac Collins. And we talked about him a little bit last week. He had an excellent weekend and there were a lot of deciding factors game 2 at Wrigley against the Cubs, but that 3-run home run that he hit, mathematically proved to be the difference. That didn't end the game, but the game would not have been won without it. Isaac Collins, the last 15 games, hitting .310, OBP of 434. He's slugging .619 and an OPS over 1,000. He's been excellent. And I brought this up last week because before this latest injury to Garrett Mitchell, a lot of Brewers fans were starting to talk. And Bill was, leading these conversations. We've been having this conversation on this show too. What happens when Blake Perkins and or Garrett Mitchell get healthy? Where do they play? Who's the odd man out? Who are you moving or who are you taking out of the lineup? And for the last 2 weeks or so, whenever that's come up, my answer has basically been like, well, I'm not moving Isaac Collins because this version of Isaac Collins is better than any version we've ever seen of Garrett Mitchell for an extended period of time. And you might be thinking, well, Grant, Garrett Mitchell is excellent defensively. If nothing else, he'll play a superb outfield. Yeah, Isaac Collins has been awesome as a fielder. He's been excellent. And jumps, I don't know if you've ever heard of this. I guess jumps is a statistic now. They have an advanced baseball metric that measures how quick of a jump a fielder. So it's like instinct, first step. Isaac Collins, outstanding. And a lot of these catches that he's making, he's not diving because his first step is so good. He's playing an excellent left field. And offensively, he's doing things that we've never seen Garrett Mitchell do, save for a 2 or 3 day stretch here and there. Maybe he doesn't have the power on the high end of Garrett Mitchell, but Garrett Mitchell strikes out a ton. Isaac Collins does not strike out much at all. And he doesn't chase pitches out of the zone. He's 91st percentile in chase rate. He's got a 13% walk rate. He walks 13% of the time. He goes up there, and I think this really speaks to Pat Murphy and Brewers fans. It should speak to you as well. He will always give you a quality at bat. He's going to see pitches, work the count, and I think that's really where this Brewers team starts. If they're having quick at bats, the game feels offensively like it starts to slip away from them very quickly. But the way that Isaac Collins, he doesn't swing and a miss. He doesn't swing outside the zone. He's shown enough pop to let you know that it's there. He's, again, hitting .310 in the last 15 games, and he's playing an excellent left field. The best outfield that the Brewers can field of guys currently in their organization is the one they're fielding now. Collins, Churio, Frelick. Blake Perkins wants to come back, take the Daz Cameron role. Great. I still don't really know what Murph's appetite is for potentially moving Churio out of center. I feel like maybe it's best long-term for him. If they think he's the center fielder of the future, leave him there. Leave him there all year. Unless he's truly getting a day off, then you can play Perkins there. But I don't know that I have a huge desire to start moving Churio around. I kind of want him to get settled there. I'm not taking Isaac Collins out of the lineup, and I'm not taking Sal Frelick off the field. So that means Blake Perkins is your fourth outfielder. I wouldn't be shocked if Garrett Mitchell doesn't play baseball again for the Brewers this year. He hurt his shoulder. We'll see. He's getting a second opinion. I want to talk about Joey Ortiz, but first let's take a quick call. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant. It's Clemhead Mike.
Clemhead. Hey, how you been?
Oh, good. How are you? I came in the house and I've been doing chores all day. I came in and turned on my Alexa, and I didn't have time to turn TV on. I heard you say my name. Did Cone get married?
So Cone is not married, but Cone is engaged. And we were congratulating him on that. I forgot to do it on the air. And I think it was Badger Bloody who actually, and that was my bad. I should have congratulated him. But he said in the text I was reading, he said, I'd like to lean on some of the happy married listeners like Big Ron, Clemhead Mike, and Eric on I-90. So do you have any advice for Cone?
You said happily married? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
I got some good advice.
Okay.
Pick your battles. I mean, little fights, let them go. Just be patient and say, yes, dear, yes, dear. Just, it's not worth a fight. And the one thing I did my whole life is I've been married 47 years. I let her buy whatever she wants.
Okay.
And I remember when I turned 50 in 2007, she said, you never buy anything nice for yourself. You wanted a motorcycle, right? I said, yeah. So she bought me a motorcycle. So, it's like let her buy whatever she wants and just kind of keep a little tabulation just to kind of keep track.
Oh, just keep score in your own head over the years. Is that what you should do?
Yeah,
keep it bottled up.
It's a battle.
That's funny.
No, it's not a battle, but
it's a battle of love. It's a labor of love.
Take on the big battles. Don't take on the little ones. Just she says something that kind of just ticks you off a little bit, just let it go, because you're going to say one too. So
that is very true.
Yeah. So let the little, let the little battles go, and let her buy whatever she wants. That's
I like
all
that.
I can think of.
I think I might buy more dumb stuff than, because it's such a trope. It's like, oh, my wife, she just buys everything, or my girlfriend. I think I probably buy more dumb stuff than she does. I don't know. Neither one of us are big spenders. Like, what do guys buy? Like, what would you buy, Clemhead, where your wife would kind of roll her eyes? Like, I guess if it makes you happy, but I don't get it. You're
stereo
a big
gear.
stereo
like
gear. Okay.
Speakers, amps, CD players, DACs, digital audio converters, stuff like that. And that sometimes that can be a little pricey, but you can shop around and not spend a ton, because
that's part of the fun, though, is you're hunting for the stuff that you want, and you're trying to maybe get it secondhand or at a place where it's a little cheaper.
I've shopped for something on eBay, and it's taken me 2 years to find exactly what I wanted, because my wife even says, "You have extreme patience." I said, "I have so much patience. I can wait." So be patient, Cone. Be patient. Be patient. Be patient when you're. So yeah. So I'm really happy for you, Cone. Does he have a date yet?
He is not. I think they just got engaged over the weekend. So I don't know. God, setting a date, that's got to be such an ordeal. Getting married is so much work, man.
It was easy for me, though, because I was in the Navy. And my wife lived in Chippewa Falls, so they did everything. I came home on leave, got married, and then we flew back out to San Diego together. And our wedding night was the first night we spent together. So that's things were in 1978.
Old-fashioned family values.
Yeah.
We used to rely on those.
Yeah. So it was great.
Well, that's excellent advice. And if Cone's not listening, I'll direct him to the podcast to make sure. I might have to ask Eric for advice as well. Eric doesn't strike me as the type to get mad at Mrs. on I-90 for spending money.
Eric's pretty laid back, and I don't think he gets mad a lot.
Yeah. Eric is like me, and Clemhead, that's a great call. I appreciate it, and I'll pass it along to Cone. Eric is like me. Eric seems like someone who needs to go out and do things. He needs to keep himself busy. He needs to stay moving. And that's kind of the way I am. Like yesterday. So I went to Summerfest, which I have to tell you about during the Monday mailbag. I just can't. I just got to tell you about that. So I'll tell you about that later, the show that we saw. But Sunday, got home, and it was just going to be a lazy day. And after being lazy, we watched a movie around lunchtime, and I'm like, I'm going to go to Costco. Like we needed groceries anyways, but like I'm going to listen to the Brewer game in my headphones, and I'm going to go accomplish a task. Like I'm going to be lazy later. Like last night, like I watched the finals. Actually played a little video games. I scooped myself some ice cream with some strawberries. Costco strawberries, by the way. Oh, lucked out with the produce at Costco yesterday. And also just walking through the walk-in produce cooler on a hot day. That was excellent. Anyways, I just need to go do things sometimes. And I think Eric on I-90 is the same way. If you keep me cooped up in the house too long, I'll just start bouncing off the walls. On Joey Ortiz, he's been excellent as well recently. 340 over the last 15 games. OBP at 353, 17 hits, 5 RBIs. And I think that he has been unlucky. I think his underlying numbers should even be a little bit better than that because he's a little snake bit with hard contact. Saladino World, I shared that stat with you last week. Brett on Brewers Twitter, one of the better voices on Brewers Twitter, shared it. Where it's like on line drives, he was hitting like 355 and league average is like 500. When you square up the ball, the results just haven't been as good as league average would. Now, if Joey Ortiz keeps squaring up the ball and keeps hitting line drives, that will improve. I think the problem with Joey Ortiz and his hard contact through this point in the season, there just hasn't been enough of it. So if he has a ton of bad at-bats and then the few good at-bats that he has end in bad luck, well, the results are going to be crappy. But if Ortiz still continues to just play like this, put together good at-bats, hit the ball hard when you can, and play a really, really good shortstop, this will play. This will play. This can work. This is tenable. Now, it wasn't tenable about a month ago, but they didn't have any better options. So this right here is tenable. This will play. Let's take our bottom of the hour break here. The Monday mailbag coming up in about 15 minutes at 6:08. 321-1670. That's the number to call. Don't know why I gave you that because that won't help you. The email, grantbills21@gmail.com. Plus, I have to tell you about my Summerfest experience. So that's all coming up.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
The results just keep coming. He's overperforming like some of the StatCast type stats, but not by a lot. I don't think he's I think he's at like a 116 WRC plus still right now. I still don't think he's really that type of hitter, but if he's a league average hitter who plays some of the best defense in left field in all of baseball, that is an extremely valuable player. And yeah, with the Mitchell news, right now, like I love Blake Perkins and he can play center and it might help to maybe move Churio to a corner again or something. But like, I don't know how you take Collins out of the lineup if Perkins does come back. And I think you probably leave Perkins in that fourth outfield role where he's at his best too. So he's kind of solidified himself not only on the team, but for now, I think it's pretty hard to get him out of the lineup.
That's Spencer Michaelis, today's Microbrew podcast. J.R. Radcliffe, almost always the host. I'm trying to think of if they have another host, but typically it's J.R. And then you'll hear Kurt or you'll hear Todd. Not this week, Spencer Michaelis. There's really excellent Brewers breakdowns, one of the better members of Brewers Twitter. Talking a little bit about Isaac Collins, and I snipped that audio and played it because I agree. And if I can get audio of other people saying the things that I'm trying to say, especially if they're saying it smarter, more intelligently, then I'm definitely going to play it. Ortiz and Collins, big piece of this weekend series, and Isaac Collins, a massive piece of that win over the Cubs in game 2 of that 3-game series. But of course, the middle game was rained out. If the Brewers have a banger of a week here, let's allow our mind to wander for a moment. Would you with me, please? If the Brewers win 2 of 3 against the Pirates, and then they sweep the Rockies, which I would lock that in right now. If you could get a series win and a sweep this week, I would be fine with 2 out of 3 and 2 out of 3. But if you could sweep one of them, God, would that be great? If they go, what would that be? 2 and that'd be 5-1 in these 6 games. I'm going to really start to bang the drum on the show and point back to that game at Wrigley that they won last Thursday afternoon. That game felt so massive in that moment. And I don't think it was like a fork in the road. Like if the Brewers had lost that game, their season trends down and they go down the tubes and into the tank. But a huge moment for Isaac Collins, some massive moments for the confidence of Joey Ortiz, especially defensively in that game. A massive moment for McGill. I think a good learning experience for Uribe on top of it. Like that game, I think means the world. And it's going to mean more than it's going to mean worlds if the Brewers can continue and they have a massive week this week, just because I think that game was a had to have it game. And a couple of players, the ones that, we focused on for the last segment here. So both Isaac Collins and Ortiz, I think it was big for them. It was big for Yelich. One concern I have about the Brewers moving forward and with the Bucks or with the Brewers or even with the Packers, when we're trying to map out a path or we're trying to map out a vision of this is how this team can accomplish this. Like if on today's date, we're like, this is how the Brewers can win the division, right? If the Packers win the Super Bowl this year, it will be because, and then we come up with our little rationalizations and our explanations. If the Bucks are able to get out of the first round next year and go deeper into the playoffs, like it will be because ABC. One problem that's sticking in my gut with this Brewers team, and it's a bummer, is Contreras' injury. He every once in a while is able to throw the bat at the ball and give you a line drive, but his power threat, his home run threat has basically disappeared. And it's because his bat speed has fallen off a table because his finger is broken. If Contreras was just slumping, or if he had an injury that was going to heal or correct itself this year, that would be like thing number one. The Brewers can win the division because Contreras is a much better version than they've seen so far, and he will help them. But the nature of this injury is like it's a biggie, and it needs offseason surgery to fix. And that sucks. That kind of puts a limit on this team. A good example that I thought of for this yesterday, a good analogy is, so you have your work day, right? My work day is 9:30 to 6:30 about. If you have days where like, instead of being at work from 8 to 5, today you're working 8 to 5, and then you also need to stay another 2 hours. Like I've done that for Bill's Huddle. I'll get here at 9:30 and then I'm here until 8. Maybe the draft show or whatever. Your motivation or your excitement to tackle that work day is limited because you know that even if I crush my tasks and even if I knock my work out of the park, I'm not going to be able to leave any earlier. It's not going to get me. I still have to be here until, such and such a time. And that's kind of how I feel about this Contreras thing. It's like, even if Yelich continues to rock and roll and Churio and all the things fall into place, that's still going to be there. Contreras having a busted finger. And I think his biggest impact this year has been defensively as a catcher. I think he's framed really well over the last week, but he's gunned down a ton of base runners too. That's been about the extent of his impact recently. And I'm just kind of done hoping that he figures it out, because I think in order to figure it out, his hand needs to fix itself, which means his bat speeds back up and is where it's supposed to be. And these last 2 years are huge bummers because I feel like these are 2 years of his prime where he's not able to play the best version of baseball possible because he's got a busted finger and he's playing through it. And I understand that's noble, but he's a fringe MVP candidate when he's right, and he hasn't been right since like last May. And that's a bummer. That's like, hey, even if this work day goes fast and I crush all my crap, I'm still here until 8 tonight. So what's even the point? So to end on a negative note, I guess, there's my Contreras take for the day. When we come back, the Monday mailbag. I have a couple of things to address on my own. I want to tell you about the concert that I saw on Saturday night. And I also want to address a debate that's been waging online. So we'll get to all of that on the other side of this break. And your questions. Submit them now, please. The Monday mailbag. GrantBills21@gmail.com. I lied. We're also going to take 60 seconds to take this call. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Ridge Runner Mark, how are we doing, sir?
Ridge Runner Mark, I am well. What's going on?
Excellent. Just real quick on Contreras.
Mm-hmm.
Is he? Do you think, based on this injury, and I'm asking this question honestly, is this something where he could turn into and be a more asset of the team if he's more of a, single doubles machine and we don't have to rely on his power and someone else picks that power up? Or are you framing this around you don't know of anyone else on the team who can pick up the power aspect of Contreras when he's healthy?
Well, I mean, it's not like, to answer your question, Ridge Runner Mark, he's best when he's supplying power, obviously. The problem isn't just the lack of power. He's not really hitting for average either. If he was like Sal Frelick and had turned himself into a contact hitter, kind of like Rhys Hoskins earlier this year, okay, that's still not perfect, but it's better than what they have now. He's not giving you average. He's striking out more than he should be. Like even this version, this limited version, really isn't that helpful. It's not just the lack of power. It's kind of a lack of hard hit balls and line drives, really. And his thing has never been elevating the ball. He's just hit the ball hard as hell. And then sometimes it gets elevated, but a lot of times it's on the ground. Now he's not hitting it hard anymore. And that's not a useful profile of a hitter, but yet he plays every day and he's going to hit in the middle of the lineup, which really limits them. All right. Now we will come back with the Monday mailbag, your questions and a couple things that I want to address. GrantBills21@gmail.com.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels here. Are your two wheels revved up? Because the Big River Rally, where the river meets the road. It rolls into La Crosse on June 27th and 28th. Join us for a weekend packed with action. Stunt shows, a killer bike show, food trucks, all kinds of awesome vendors. Friday, Rod's River Run, with Texas Hippie Coalition lighting up the stage that night. Then Saturday, it's the Big River Rally ride. Miles and miles of pure freedom. Then Saturday night, Drowning Pool rocks the house. Grab your tickets right now. BigRiverRally.com. That's BigRiverRally.com, and I'll see you there.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Because the mail never stops.
Charles, we'll be writing to you.
She's got mail. That's the name of the movie.
That's it, honey. There's never a let-up. It's relentless. Every day it piles up more and more and more, and you gotta get it up. And the more you get out, the more it keeps coming in.
The Monday Mailbag. Submit your questions, grantbills21@gmail.com. A little extra time today because there's two things I want to address. Number one, I saw Billy Currington at Summerfest on Saturday night. Played for about 90 minutes. And, you know, I just texted my two friends that I went with again. I think I'm depressed. I don't think I can just carry on throughout my everyday life after experiencing that. That man has so many hits. And you're like, yeah, I remember a couple Billy Currington songs. No, you don't. You remember a lot more than a couple. You just don't. They're not front of mind. Go back and listen. You'll be like, oh, I forgot. Mount Rushmore, 20th century. Yes. The first... Oh my God. The first 7 songs, you ready for this? Don't It, 10 out of 10. Good Directions, 11 out of 10. I Got a Feeling, 9 out of 10. Pretty Good at Drinking Beer, 10 out of 10. Loved Done Gone, Don't. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, it's just the opening salvo. Unbelievable. Summerfest, the US Cellular stage was jumping. It was hot as balls. Didn't slow anyone down. Oh, the Miller Lights were flowing. Unbelievable night. Also, speaking of the heat, I saw this debate raging on Twitter. Do you follow the account Midwest versus Everybody? They tweeted, reminder that 95 degrees and humid is better than 20 degrees and a wind chill. And I saw this and I laughed because historically I've been a cold over hot guy. But I think it's I think there are some factors into this. If you are someone who has a house or an apartment with nice air conditioning, give me the heat any day of the week. Because I would rather be outside. Like I want to be able to go outside and do summer things. But if I can't sleep, that's an issue. Now, when you're in college, I'd rather take the cold because I can bundle up and use a little space heater. I don't have an air conditioner. It's the issue. Some of you who seem to think, like, I think you think you're edgy when you say, I'd take 20 degrees and wind chill over 95 and humid any day of the week. I don't believe you. I think you're kind of a loser if you believe that. Personally, we could talk about that more at a later date. I just want to make sure I get to all your questions here. Tyler says, hey, Grant, on such a hot day, what is the magnet situation on your refrigerator? Any sports schedules? Not on the front wall. On the side, yes, beneath the calendar. The front is reserved for, at this moment, wedding invites. And yeah, wedding invites. That's all we have space for on the front. But on the side, yeah, there's a little Brewers magnet schedule. It's got to have a home, but it doesn't need to be obnoxious. Tony says, Brew Crew have the Pirates, then Rockies. Cubs have the Cards, then Stros. Time to pounce. Tony and a Kanto. More of a comment, really, but I appreciate it, Tony. Rob Doggin Stoddard says, as we all know, the boys can spend late nights playing video games. What was the latest you've been up playing video games with the boys, and do you think you could stay up that long again? Yeah, I could do it again. I don't know the exact specific time. I think I've done like 2 or 3 in the morning, once or twice over the last few years. It's just when nobody has anything going on. Call of Duty Zombies or League of Legends, because those are games that take longer. I remember when Call of Duty Modern Warfare came out, I had to work a UWL game. I was out of town, and all of my friends got it and set up in a living room, and they drank a case of Mountain Dew. And one night they stayed up until 5 a.m, and they said that's the worst they've ever felt in their entire life. So I guess I'm kind of okay that I missed out on that, although at the time I had big time FOMO. Teacher Tom says, if you had to choose one beer and one cocktail to drink for the rest of your life, what would you pick? Well, I'm a light beer man. In 99% of settings, I just want a good light beer. And there's plenty of good ones. I guess I would say either Liney's Light or Miller Lite. Like, those beers could get me through the rest of my life. Sure, I would miss a Modelo. Sure, I would yearn for other beers, but 99% of the time, for anything that I need a beer for, those work just fine. The cocktail, now this has changed. Once upon a time, I was just standard Captain Diet. But then my tummy started. But then it started to I would just get the worst gut rot. I'm like, I can't. As delicious as rum and cokes are, oh my God, they're just the balls. But now I get the belly rot. So gin and tonics have kind of been my move for, I don't know, probably 2 years now. They work at a wedding. We went to a bar on Friday night at a dive bar. It worked there. I think it would work at a ball game, although I would never get a cocktail at a ball game. I'd get a light beer. So I think at this moment in time, I think I would say gin and tonic. I'm a tequila shot, man. If we're taking shots, I want tequila. I don't want to mess around. Like, if we're taking a shot, let's take a shot. I don't want to spend $4 a piece just to stress out the bartender to make something that'll taste okay, but not really get me all that drunk. We found a way, let's say, to bring in a shooter or two to Summerfest on Saturday, which was needed. And my God, did it play during Billy Currington, because you're drinking beer all day. Like, I want to be charged up at 10 o'clock, and I've been drinking beers all day. They start to lose their luster a little bit. But a tiny little $1 shooter of McGillicuddy's. Now, it had the temperature of a liquid that just came out of my bladder because it was 100 degrees and it was in my pocket all day, but still pretty good. So Liney's Light or Miller Lite, whatever they have, gin and tonic, tequila shots, or McGillicuddy's, just the mint. Although we had a vanilla one too, and that was pretty good. But I think those would be my options, Tom. Maybe we can pick this up tomorrow. More Brewers talk. I think we're mostly done with the NBA. So if you're one of those people who complains about it, we cleared today. We're through today. You can rejoice. A lot of baseball. And we're circling back to anything going on in the NFL world. NBA draft is this week too, out of nowhere. But we don't have to harp on that other than crapping on Ace Bailey because I think he's overrated. Talk to you tomorrow. Enjoy the Brewer game tonight.